that guy was tongue-tied when he met you for the first time, and
Yeah.
see what you got, and, you have no idea,
But she hands you the dish rack. Come on,
yeah, right,
get them done.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, let me ask you,
Mhm.
with not knowing what you, and maybe this is what your 9 to 5 was. I mean, a lot of guys have hunting as a passion, but maybe they had a different job as well that was there.
Oh yeah, I did too. I mean, again.
And how do you balance? How did you balance that? I mean, 'cause
Okay.
I find it difficult. I think everybody, has a passion. They want to do more of it, but they got to pay the bills and they got to,
Sure.
keep nurturing a relationship.
Sure. As I said, a lot of it has to do with the foundations that you build and having everyone on the same page. I could not have done it if it wasn't for my family and friends that supported, the, whatever you want to call it, the disease,
Yeah.
the fact. But in the same respect, I programmed my life to, focus on that in that respect, meaning that I was I was a chiropractor for 22 years, and because it was good. I enjoyed it, but I was self-employed, and I could have made a lot more money back east, but I purposely lived in little old Whitefish, Montana, because of the hunting and the freedom to be able to be independent. So in a nutshell, Thursday was my day off, and in the fall, I would program my patients to know that, come September, October, old Barry's not going to be around very much, so I would not, Thursday was my day off, I just wouldn't schedule anybody to come in on Friday and then, or Saturday morning, so I'd get Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, a 4-day weekend, and I'd leave Wednesday night and come back Sunday night. And when you live in vacation land, you live and there's elk right down the road or antelope right over the mountain, and you got 4 days off. You can get a lot done in 4 days, you know. So but then again, I programmed the people to know that I was going to be gone, and I was blessed with a great wife and family that I was able to juggle. I did well enough to pay the bills and stuff like that, but I didn't have anywhere near the luxurious livelihood of, I could have had, or maybe should have had, if I lived in a city and I had friends.
Oh, you'd have been miserable though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. A lot of wealth is not just in the pocket. It's in your mind and stuff. And I was really fortunate to balance that and have the right people and right family to support me, because when looking back on it, everybody said, as far as taking away from the family, I burnt the candle at both ends. People don't realize how fanatical, but let me say this. It is a perfect example, the fishing. All right. When I lived in Montana, bull trout,
He's wanting to go on.
Yeah. Bull trout are Dolly Vardens, and they would come up out of Flathead Lake, and it would end up the whole month of May. They would migrate, and it was May and June, and then the 1st of July the season they would wind down and stuff. Okay, so in May I had 3 kids that were all playing Little League at the same time. All right, I would bear hunt in the evening. Okay, I would get up every morning. I got up at 3:40 in the morning. I would be on the river fishing at, depending on where I went, 4:15, somewhere in there. I would fish from 4:15 or 4:30 till about 7:30. I'd run home, jump in the shower, go in the office, work all day. If the kids had a Little League game, I'd go to the Little League game. If they didn't, I'd go bear hunting. You know, I'd get up. I mean, I was sleeping, and I would do this for months at a time and miss. I remember weeks where I never missed a day. You know, type
Wow.
of thing. You know, and as I said, that sometimes I look back on it, and that's not. I mean, that's almost fanatical. It is fanatical type of thing. But what I'm saying is I was able to juggle. I was able to eat my meals with the family. I would see the family every day. I would go to the kids' Little League games and stuff like that. The only one, I just didn't sleep that much. You know, I wasn't able to go to bed for very much, to get very much sleep. But again, if it wasn't for the sacrifice of my wife and the cooking and you know, taking care of the kids and stuff, I wouldn't have been able to done that. Have done that type of thing.
You have to have a special
Yeah,
family.
right. But
Where do you see the? I'm shifting gears a little bit, but talking about the youth, I mean, to kind of circle this back around, where do you see this industry going?
we talked about that a little earlier, about the fact that the kids these days are losing the woodsmanship skills, and I would like to see the industry slow down a little bit and try not to make it. It's not supposed to be that easy. In other words, I think a person gets out of it what they put into it. And yes, I use the analogy of an artist versus a photographer. In other words, an artist can sit there and painfully take stroke by stroke and do a painting that comes out to look like a picture, you know, whereas a photographer can just take the same picture of the same scene and it's instant, you know, but who has more, you know, personal satisfaction in it and stuff. And they can argue, oh, I had the right light meters and, you know, and all the setup and all this stuff. But, you know, my point is that the more you work for something, the more you will appreciate it. It's like financially. If somebody inherits millions of dollars, they're gonna not have the same values or appreciation as the next guy who earned millions of dollars, you know. And the fact is, the guy who earned it, if he lost it all on the you know, on the flip of a card in Vegas, and he can probably make it again because now he's got the knowledge of how to do it. And as I said, there's so many kids these days that are not able to understand what's going on, and it's the appreciation. Okay, let me just say this. Last year, and again, I'll just tell you the truth. I have very low tolerance to poachers and stuff. I mean, I'm known in the area as, I think people think I'm psycho. I'm always packing heat, you know, and I have to admit I'm good at what I do because of woodsmanship skills and stuff. But last year, I'm up here at my neighbor's house, and we're in the kitchen, and all of a sudden 3 shots ring out, you know, at the end of his driveway, you know, and he grabbed a gun. We go down there and ended up, you know, I catch this guy with a 14-year-old kid in the youth season, you know, stopped him, and what do you think you're doing? You know, and he said, I'm just taking the kid out, you know, trying to get him his first deer type of thing. And I said, whose land you on? He says, I don't know. He said, but I hunted here for years, and you know, he says, there's never been a problem. And I said, well, no, you're lying. There is a problem. Number one, you haven't hunted here for years because, you know, this property is owned by him, number one. Number two, it's not been gun hunted for 20 years. You know, it's bow hunting only. Number three, you don't have, and you know, and he says, I don't think he got him anyway. You know, oh, then it's okay, you know. And I said, let me get this straight. I said, you're teaching this 14-year-old kid that it's okay to drive down the road and shoot out of the front of the pickup at a deer standing on somebody's land, you don't know whose it is, and realize, see his driveway goes right, his house is right back there, right behind where the kid just shot. There's a house back there, and the guy kind of hangs his head down,
Yeah.
and I said, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, Anyway, I turned him in. I mean,
Absolutely.
again, I have no tolerance to, here he is teaching this kid it's okay to drive down the road and blast deer out of
Right.
the truck. That's not a good example.
No.
I mean, and as I said, it's frustrating to me.
A common theme seems to be too is that not that we just can't tolerate it, but we have to report this.
Mm-hmm.
And so the behavior gets corrected, not just tolerate it and look the other way. If you're a businessman and you have somebody that might get, caught stealing or a shoplifter,
Mm-hmm.
well, we'll just stop them and not report it to the authorities. They're just gonna go to your neighbor's business and do the
Yeah.
same thing. We
Yeah.
have to get this thing corrected.
My record is 11 in 1 year.
Wow.
But but like I said,
That's not a record do you want to brag about?
Well, no, it's
I mean,
not
I'm
anything to brag
No,
about.
I'm just saying that's.
But
becomes
I caught him red-handed.
Yeah.
And in fact, that was that particular year, I didn't used to always pack a gun. And here it was gun season. I didn't. You're not allowed to bow hunt in Iowa during the gun season, so I didn't have a weapon with me at all.
Yeah,
And here I catch these guys. And I walked right up on them. On my property, and the guy says, "I'm lost." And I said, "Bullshit, you're not lost." And and he says, I said, "You know exactly where you are." And he says, "No," he says, "I didn't cross any fences." And I said, "You're a liar too. I just watched you cross." And I pointed to the fence, and he goes like, "Oh man," he saw me.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched him cross the fence, and he looked me right in the eye and told me he didn't cross the fence. Hey, you're going down. Type of sorry.
Absolutely.
But anyway.
I don't want to call it regrets because that's kind of a strong word, but in life where you zigged instead of zagged. I mean, we all have these
Not
things.
really.
Oh, hey, if it, be- I mean,
Not really. Like I said.